Great. Can you write in the chat box if you see my screen? So the majority said yes. Thank you. Wonderful. So there are still more people joining us. Okay, just 1 second. Great. So yeah. Okay, do you see now my screen? I don't know if you can see or not. Yeah, can you write in the chat box if you see my screen? Great. All right. But I can't see it. I don't know what's wrong with this one. Okay, just 1 second again. Okay, great. So this is the last day of the 316-hour TEFL course organized by Global Bass Foundation. So the last lesson will be about how to teach grammar communicatively. All right, so let's see here. And as I told you, after completing this course, you can get the certificate. And this is the certificate. All right. So the certificate is TEFL certificate. This is to certify that Muhammad or Layla or James has successfully completed the 16-hour TEFL course held by Global Bass Foundation Rabat, Morocco via Zoom and Facebook from October 26th to 30th, 2020. What are the lessons? Lesson number 1, methods and approaches in teaching and learning. Lesson number 2, teachers' roles and students' different learning styles. Lesson number 3, motivating learners through fun engaging or fun games. And lesson number 4 that we tackled last time or yesterday was about motivating learners through ICT integration. And today's lesson will be about teaching grammar communicatively. And of course, the certificate will be signed by Global Bass and stamped by Global Bass Foundation, as well as the trainer, Lhoussine Qasserras, Cambridge certified trainer. Okay, so if you are interested in getting the certificate, you can contact us via WhatsApp, and then we will explain the procedure of payment. Yeah, the payment is 200 dirhams, which means 20 the US dollar. Okay, great. So let's move on to the next one. Look here. Good. The aims of today is about, number 1, we are going to start with an introduction. Okay, introduction, then approaches. There are 2 major approaches to teaching grammar. We are going to see what are the 2 major approaches. Then we move to the strategies, techniques, then practice, classroom application, review, and conclusion. Of course, if you are applying for a teaching position or a teaching job, they will ask you what is grammar, what are the approaches, what are the strategies, the techniques of teaching grammar communicatively. So today, we are going to cover all these elements that will help you when you set for an interview or in the written exam. Great. Now look here. I would like to start with this. Imagine you are trying to learn a new skill. Do you prefer to be told how to do it, or to be shown how to do it, or to read how to do it, or to try using it and find out for yourself, or a combination of all these? Number 2, would you learn the grammar language following the same principles? Why or why not? So let's focus on the first one. When you learn a new skill like fishing, soccer, dancing, surfing on the net, these are skills. Great. So do you prefer someone to tell you about, or you can learn by yourself, or you read, etc.? Now you can write the chat box. Yes, please. So Muhsin Ayubi said, how much does it cost to get 120 hours? It's about 5,000 dirhams. If you want to attend in class. In class is 5,000 dirhams. But via Zoom, it's 3,500 dirhams. Good. So Ilham is with a combination of these. All right. Survivors, a combination. Amin Al-Kharraz, are you on phone? So do you hear me? Learn by myself, Zohra said. Okay. Great. Galaxy is the first time I use Zoom. How can I activate the sound? Yeah, basically I muted all of you. Okay, learn by myself, Zohra said. All right, some of you said here a combination of these. Wonderful. Yes, so you can learn by yourself, someone to tell you. Now, what about number 2? How or would you learn the grammar language following the same principles? Why or why not? What about grammar? Now, from general, about skills, now more specific. We are limited now to grammar. Yes, please. Survivor said again, a combination. Bushra Yaqub, a combination. Wonderful. All right. So these are very interesting questions that you might be asked about. How would you learn, or how do you want people to teach you grammar? All right. So Bushra Yaqub said from specific to general. Okay. Bushra Yaqub. All right. Yes, thank you. Now let's move on to the next slide. The next one. Now look here, we are going to start with a situation. For the recruitment exam, they may give you a situation and you have to reflect on it. If you want to apply for a certain teaching job, they may put you in a situation and you have to reflect or to write about it. Now here, the situation is any volunteer to read. If you want to read, I can activate your mic. Anyone to read? Yes, you just raise your hand. Show the hand and I give you the floor. So we have Amina. Yes, please activate your mic. Sorry, Adil Al-Kharraz. Activate your mic. No, you can't. Muhsin Ayubi. Yes, activate your mic. You can't? Great, yes.
Well, yes. Layla spent so much time preparing a grammar lesson on how to use simple past, regular and irregular forms with her beginner level students. She used a variety of sentences that provided examples of different rules and explained these to students. They then completed some gap fill exercise sentences, which they all got correct. 4 days later, Layla collected in some written emails from her students. These were contained many mistakes, especially mistakes in the way her students used simple past. Layla felt frustrated because she had prepared carefully for her lesson, but in vain.
Thank
now
you.
we have
Great. Can you continue the questions?
Yeah, now we have some questions here to help Layla. The first one is, what do you think was wrong with her lesson? The second question is, jot down your ideas on your paper to help her figure out her problem.
Thank you, Muhsin. Great. Now, I give you 2 minutes. Now you can reflect. How could you help Layla? Layla has got a problem about teaching grammar. And number 2, what do you think was wrong with her lesson? And then jot down your ideas on your paper. 2 minutes. Yes, please, think about it. All right. So Bushra Yaqub said she did not provide the situation. She has not put the target structure in context. Great. Muhsin Ayyubi, she had to provide more practice. Wonderful. Bizri Muhammad. Layla does not prepare the lesson actively and she does not define the objectives of the lesson, the context too. Very interesting. All right. Zwina Jia, she does not create context. Great. So look here, Layla spent so much time preparing a grammar lesson on how to use simple past, regular and irregular forms with her beginner. So here the key word, look here, I would like to shed light on the level, beginners. Look here. So she is teaching beginners, very low level. And number 2, she taught the 2, regular and irregular forms in one session. How come? Your job as a teacher is to facilitate the learning process of your learners. You cannot teach 2 things at once because it's very confusing and students find it challenging. It's problem number 1. All right. Great. So beginner levels, so she should teach only regular verbs, and after a week then she has to move to irregular, but she cannot teach them at the same time. It's very difficult for learners. And remember, your job as a teacher is to facilitate the learning process of your learners. How to facilitate is by designing a lesson only about regular forms. Once students master the regular forms, then you move to the irregular forms. Great. Here, she used a variety of sentences that provide examples of different rules and explained these to students. They then completed some gap fill sentences. So she focused more on gap filling. There is no context, no conversation, no dialogues. There must be contextualization. We have to put the structure in context. Context means examples, conversation, dialogue, paragraph. And the job of the learner is to observe, to discover the structure from context. Wonderful. This work contained many mistakes, especially mistakes in the way her students used the simple past. Layla felt frustrated. Of course, she's going to feel frustrated because they cannot master at once the 2 forms, regular and irregular. And using gap filling exercise is not helpful. she needs to do other exercises. Great. Now let's see the feedback. Look here, the feedback is learning is a process. For our future teachers, remember, your job is to facilitate. So learning is a process. Learning takes time, takes practice. Takes time, takes practice. So it's hard for beginners to teach them the two forms in one session. She used the sentence level examples when she taught the lesson. Students found it hard to use the form in text because she should have put the form or the structure in paragraphs. Now here, the key skills. There are different ways of teaching grammar. There is not only one way, but there are different. We are going to see what are these methods or approaches. No one individual method suits all grammar points and all students. It depends on the type of the grammar lesson. And number three, you should vary your approach to teaching grammar to cater for different learning styles. You don't have to use all the time the same approach, giving examples from the very beginning, or starting with the rule, or using posters. You have to vary your ways because you are teaching different learning styles. Students belong to different learning styles, different learning needs. Okay, great. No questions so far about this situation. And here Zohra said she has to focus on regular or irregular versus she should simplify the lesson to the learners. She should have some common intake exercises. As Winajia said, she teaches both the regular and irregular in one session. It's difficult. Great. All right. The next session, sorry, the next slide. Look here. The topic of today is teaching grammar communicatively, teaching grammar interactively. And if you want to teach grammar interactively, you have to adopt the communicative language teaching. Okay, can you remind me? What are the principles of communicative language teaching? Anyone to talk? Hajar, you want to say something? Use the mic. Yeah, activate your mic. I'm sorry, I'm very sick today. I'm doing my best. Anyone to remind us about the principles of communicative language teaching? Okay, Ayubi, activate your mic. Anyone to participate? No one? Okay, Muhsin, activate your mic if you want to talk about the principles of communicative language teaching. Any volunteer? So Muhammad Bizri, yes please. Muhammad Bizri said, Allah Shafiq, thank you.
Hello, Mr. Hussein and to attenders. Allah Shafiq.
Thank you.
Concerning the principles, welcome. Concerning the principles of teaching, I mean, of communicative language teaching, I mean, some of them are like become actively in the lesson, and the teachers is a motivator their learners in the lesson.
All right. Thank you. Very interesting.
The opportunity to others.
Yes, very interesting, Bizri Muhammad. Thank you. Others, what do you? Hajar said, sir, I can't hear you. Your voice. There is a technical problem. Do you hear me? All of you here? Or maybe Hajar has got a technical issue about her mic. Can you write in the chat box if you hear me? So Tariq said yes. Zwin, yes. All right. Everyone said yes. So Hajar, you have a problem. Great. So communicative language teaching, we teach lessons are student-centered. In the classroom, the heart of the learning process, the center of the learning process, the focus is the learner. This is for communicative language teaching. As a teacher, everything I'm going to design, I have to take into account my students' needs and wants. Number two, we create opportunities for students to use English actively. There is participation, there is communication. So activities, dialogues, conversations, debates, these are the activities. We call them communicative activities. Number three, we create context for language use. Some ask, what do we by context? Context, if you want to teach a simple past, you don't give them from the very beginning. Play, studied, but you put it in a conversation or in a paragraph or a dialogue or a text. This is, we call it contextualization. So we start with examples first. Okay. Number four, we help students reach beyond their comfort zone. We are not teaching students to use the language in class. For communicative language teaching, they have to use it for real life communication. They have to learn about how to ask and give advice. Asking for and giving advice. But they have to use outside the classroom. When they go to the hospital, they can use the same expressions. Okay, great. Next. Now, two presentations. I'm going to here presenting a grammar item in two different ways, many lessons. Which lesson did you prefer and why? And name the approaches that sum or sums up each lesson. I'm going to teach grammar in two ways, in two approaches. So there are two presentations. Your job is to let me know which lesson did you prefer and why. And number two, you name the approaches that sum or sums up each lesson. All right, shall we get started? Is it clear so far? You can write in the chat box. Thank you. Because if you are applying for recruitment exam, they may ask you how to teach grammar. What are the two major approaches, sorry. And now I'm going to clarify the two ones. So let me act. I'm going to teach, and your job is to observe and tell me which one did you like and why. So number one, I'm going to teach the simple past. So I'm going to start with, hello everyone, how are you? I hope you are doing well. So today we are going to start, or we are going to study a very nice lesson. It's about the simple past. So the simple past of a regular verb is verb plus ed. Very good. Verb plus ed. For example, I play. Repeat. I play. I play. I play. I did not watch TV last night. Repeat. Yes. 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 Did you study English last weekend? Muhammad, Karima, Leila, etc. So this is presentation number one. Okay. Presentation number one, I started with the form. Then I moved to examples. Now, I'm going to start the presentation number two. The teacher shares with students the activities he did last Sunday. Then he asks some questions such as, what did I do in the forest? What did I watch? What did I listen? I'm going to start like this. Hello, my students. Are you great? Wonderful. Let me share with you my story. Last Sunday, I went to the forest. Okay. And look here. Last Sunday, I went to the forest. Look at the picture with my family. And we played soccer together. After that, we watched a very nice film. Then I listened to pop music. And after that, we danced together. Great. Then I asked my learners, what did I do in the forest? Can you write, please? What did I do in the forest? Can you write? Can you write in the chat box? What did I do in the forest? So Fatiha said, played soccer. Great job, Fatiha Mulima. Wonderful. Yes, Bushra, great. Bizri, we jumped. No, we did not jump. We just played soccer. Muzdoun Abdul, great, we played soccer. Number 2, what did I watch? What did I watch? Sarah, you watch a film, good. Sarah, TV, Fatiha, watch a film, a movie, you watch a good film. Watch a movie, what type of movie? Is it nice or not nice? Is it good or bad? You watch a movie, Ilham Zgwini, Bushra Yaqub, we watch a movie. A good movie, thank you Bushra, you are a good student. Thank you Zwin Najia. Now what did I listen to? What did I listen to? Do you remember last Sunday? I listened to music. What type of music? Muzuna, Ilham, what type of music? To pop. Great, Sarah. I'm gonna give you +1 because you said pop music. Then I'm going to ask, do you like pop music or rock music or western music or calm music? So what type of music do you like? Can you write in the chat box? What type of music do you like? I like rock, Sarah said. Survivor, rock music. Ilham, rock and raw music. Bushra, pop. Fatiha, none. Bizri, calm music. Shabi Muhsin, you are Moroccan. Shabi music. Daudia, okay. Seti, I love pop music. Miss Sarah, good. Yes, here, calm music. Great. Now, look here. So let me go back to this one. Which lesson did you prefer and why? Which lesson did you prefer and why? Can you write in the chat box? Or you can talk. If you want to participate, I can give you the floor. So Fatiha said the second. Good. As well as you the second. All right. So Ms. Sarah, please activate your mic. Ms. Sarah?
Hello.
Hello.
I hope everybody's doing well. So concerning the question, I liked lesson number 2 because it's more, interactive. It makes everybody want to participate, and it also, makes everybody maybe challenge themselves and see who has a great memory. That's all.
Wonderful. Thank you, Sarah. I like the term that you use. There is interaction, participation. So for situation number 2 or presentation number 2, there is participation, interaction, involvement from students to teachers, students, teachers, students, okay. But for the first presentation, students are very passive. And the teacher is the source of knowledge. The teacher is the spoon feeder. Okay, so Ilham Zgouin said learner-centered for the second presentation. And the first one is teacher-centered. Thank you. Now let's go more deeper. I guess Ashraf want to say something. Yes, please, Ashraf.
Hello, guys. How are you doing?
Great, thank you.
Sir, just I want to say, as the sister, she said a little bit that really I would like to opt for the second presentation because it requires it's something that requires the action of the students. It's like from their environment, something that they did yesterday, as you said. And also, if the teacher here in this situation will present the simple past with picture, it would be very beneficial for the student.
Wonderful. Thank you for your clarifications. Very interesting. Yeah, we are going to explain in detail the two presentations. Great. Thank you. So let me read here. Bushra Ashkur said, I like the second because the teacher starts with story to get the students' attention. He also used ICT to motivate the students to talk. The teacher for presentation number one used variety of materials. Okay, great. Very interesting. And he started with contextualization, with the story, and then asking and answer. Okay, great. Let's move on to the next. Now, so two main approaches to teaching grammar. You might be asked this question, what are the two major approaches to teaching grammar? These are the two major approaches, deductive and inductive. For the first presentation, it's deductive. Why? Because the teacher started with the past, verb plus ed, then examples. So moving from the rule. Inductive is presentation number two. The teacher started with a story, examples, context, contextualization, then the rule. So examples, the story, students to observe. Okay, and then the rule. So moving into the rule. For deductive, students are passive. For inductive, students are active. For deductive, the teacher is the center. For inductive, the learner is the center. For deductive, there is no interaction. For inductive, there is interaction. For deductive, the student is the servant and the teacher is the master. For inductive, the boss, the leader is the student. Okay, any questions so far? Is it clear? So Muhsin said, the teacher guides students to elicit the rules first without giving directly, inductive approach. Bizri Muhammad, good readers are great leaders. Wonderful. Zora said thanks. All right, so let's move on to the next slide. So please remember the two approaches when you are asked. Now let's practice. Fill in the gaps with the right words in the list. There are two main approaches to teaching grammar. These are the deductive and inductive approach. So what do you have here? You have learner-centered, time-saving, inductive approach, teacher-centered, deductive approach, and takes time. 4 minutes. You fill in the gaps. Great. So anyone to answer? Here we have Fatiha Mulim. Can you please activate your mic? Fatiha Mulim, do you want to answer number 1 and 2?
Okay. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much.
Yeah, most welcome.
Okay. Okay. A deductive approach is when the rule is presented and the language is produced based on the rule. The teacher gives the rule. An inductive approach is when the rule is inferred through some form of guided discovery. The teacher gives the students.
Sorry, number 1 is deductive.
A deductive approach.
Okay, great. Number 2?
An inductive approach.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Wonderful. So here we have the rule, number 1. Then examples. Number 2, an inductive is when the rule is inferred. So inductive approach. Wonderful, great. Another volunteer. So yes, Muzun. Yes, please activate your mic. Yes, Muzun Abdel Malik. I guess your mic is on. Do you hear me? So let me check again. Yes. Yes, you can activate your mic. Again, Abdel Malik, yes, please. Okay, you can. So let me see others. Yes, Abdel Malik, do you hear me? All right, so let me see with Sarah. Yes, please. Activate your mic, Sarah.
So in other words, the former is more teacher-centered and the latter more student-centered.
Great, so teacher-centered.
Yeah, teacher-centered and student.
And second?
Learner-centered.
Wonderful. So learner.
Yeah.
Centered. Thank you. Great. Others, next. Other volunteers. So yes, Amina, please activate your mic. Okay, Ilham Zgwini, yes, please.
Hello, do you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Both approaches have their advantages and disadvantages. In my own experience, the deductive approach is undoubtedly time-saving and allows much more time for practicing the language items, thus making it an effective approach with lower level students. Shall I answer that? Okay. The inductive approach, on the other hand, takes time and more beneficial to students who already have the base in the language, as it encourages them to work things out to themselves based on their existing knowledge. Thank you.
Yeah, so the first one is time save and the second one is?
Takes time.
Takes time, wonderful. Which means here, there is no right or best approach, but it depends on the lesson. It depends on the type of the lesson, the size of the classroom, the needs and the wants of your learners, etc. Great, thank you. Great. So is it clear so far? Then we can move on to the next slide. All right. Great. So let's move to the next slide. So these are the answers. A deductive is when the rule is presented. An inductive is when the rule is inferred. You get it from examples. Teacher-centered, learner-centered, time-saving, takes time. The presentation number 1, very quickly, I give them the rule. For presentation number 2, it takes time. Giving examples, asking questions, showing pictures. Okay. Great. Now look here. Look at this grammar lesson. Look at this grammar lesson and reflect on, is the new language contextualized? Is the grammar lesson based on inductive or deductive approach? Are there any practice activities based on communication? So you look at the lesson. This is a Moroccan textbook. 3 minutes. Think about it. Yes, Nabila, activate your mic if you want to say something.
Yes.
Yes, please.
I think the teacher will. Hello, do you hear me?
Yes.
I think the teacher will teach the lesson inductively, because he will begin or she will begin the lesson with reading, and the student will detect the rule from the reading, the dialogues.
Wonderful. So the question is, the new language contextualized or not?
Yes, it's contextualized because we have a picture.
What else? Just the picture? Can you help Nabila? So there's only the picture for contextualization. Sarah, use the mic. All right, Ashraf. For Sarah, yes, please, Sarah.
Yes, well, I'm sorry, I don't know, like about the first question, contextualized. It's the first time I'm gonna hear this.
Yeah, so contextualized means, is there context? Is there a conversation? Is there a paragraph? Is there a text? Is there a dialogue? Simple past is put in a dialogue. Simple past is put in a conversation. Simple past is put in a story. This is what we call, there is context. From context, you deduce and you understand the meaning. So here, let me see in the chat box. As yes, please, you want to say something? Yes.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
I see it is contextualized because there is use of dialogue and pictures as well as the leading question.
Thank you. Perfect. Yes. Is the new language contextualized? Yes. There is a conversation. Laura, Jerry, Mehdi, Levy. So students are going to read the text or the conversation, and there are lead-in questions. The questions that will focus on the structure. So look here, who is living? Where is Mehdi from? Where is the club located? All right. Number 2, is the grammar lesson based on inductive or deductive approach? Any volunteer? All right. Zgwini, Ilham, activate your mic.
It's actually Zgini.
Zgini, sorry. Zgini, yes.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. So here in this grammar lesson, it is based on inductive approach.
Wonderful.
Why? Because can I? Okay.
Yeah, continue.
Okay, because the teacher is going to make the learners elicit the rule from the dialogue, and they can guess after that what lesson is going to be about, the grammar lesson.
Thank you.
I think
it's inductive. Why? Look at number 2. Number 2 is about the rule, is about the structure, is about the form. So we started with number 1, context. We start with number 1, examples. We start with number 1, contextualization. Students observe, then we move to the rule. So it's based on inductive. Now, are there any practice activities? When students want to practice, they should practice based on communication, because today's lesson is about how to teach grammar communicatively. So what are the communicative activities? Look here. What are they? Any volunteer again? Ashraf, yes, please use the mic. Muhsin, activate your mic. No? Nabila, activate your mic, please.
Yes, I think that the third exercise is based on communication because it's a dialogue. When students complete the dialogue, we'll read it.
Wonderful, thank you. Number 3, complete the dialogue with the correct form of the verb be. They complete, then they read, they communicate. Wonderful. And number 4, another practice. Look here, work in pairs or in small groups. So when you work in pairs or in groups, there is communication. So these are the communicative activities. Great, thank you. Is it clear so far? So we can say number 1 is number 1 and number 2. These are presentation or presentations. Number 3 is practice, and number 4 is production. This is the PPP model. Okay, PPP model. Presentation, practice, production. All right. Fatima says, I can't hear you. Do you hear me, please? Others, do you hear me? So everyone said yes. So Fatima, maybe you have a problem with your mic. Great. They may ask you another question, which is, what are the stages of teaching grammar? The stages, there are 3. They are major. The 3 major stages. Number 1, presentation. Number 2, practice. And number 4 is production. Okay, great. So let's move on to the next slide. Now here, I want you to compare and contrast this grammar lesson with the previous one. So compare in terms of approaches or activities or techniques. Dua Ajdouen said PPP. Can we use ICRIF instead of PPP? Yes, but in Morocco, we depend heavily on PPP. Presentation, practice, production. All right. Now, look here, approaches. Compare and contrast this grammar lesson with the previous one. What about the approaches? Inductive, deductive, what do you think? So I used to do that, but I don't anymore. Read the following dialogue and answer this question. What were Lucy's past holiday habits? So we have Lucy, Yassina. What do you think? Concern the approaches. Can you write or you can talk? Latifa Shakir said, which model is best to teach grammar? Is it PPP or ECRIF? I can tell you, if they ask this question, what is the best, you tell them there is no best way. There is no perfect way, but it depends. It depends on the type of the lesson. It depends on the age of learners. It depends on the size of the classroom. It depends on the needs and wants of learners. So please, there is no best, but it depends. All right. So great, thank you, Bushra Ashkur. It's inductive. So there is a comparison between this lesson and the previous one. Both started with context, contextualization. There is a conversation. Thank you. Now, activities. What do you think about activities? The previous lesson, there were communicative activities. What about this one? Look here. Complete the sentence about yourself. When I was young, I used to in primary. This is a communicative activity? So number 3 is not communicative. It's non-communicative activity because I'm going to talk. I'm going to work alone. Thank you, Ilham Zgini. Great. So we can say the previous lesson based on communicative activities and this one on non-communicative. Why? Because we have simple sentences, complete about yourself. Abdullah BC said, I can't hear you, sir. Do you hear me again, all of you? So everyone said yes. Please, for those who can't hear me, activate your mic. There is something with your laptop and your mic. Great. So let's move on to the next. Look here. Now we are going to see the PPP model: presentation, practice, and production. For the presentation, you can demonstrate, or you can personalize, change a story, or you can start with a situation, with a problem, or you can start with giving examples, or with explanations, or with a text. So the presentation can take the form of demonstration, personalization, situation, etc. Number 2, practice. When you present the lesson and students observe, the next stage, they should practice the language. How? We can call it practice or restricted practice. Give an example of restriction, like multiple choice task, gap filling task, matching task, completion task, etc. These are restricted because there is no freedom for learners to express themselves, because they are told to complete, they are told to match, they are told to choose the right answer, they are told to fill in the gap. There is no creativity, there is no innovation, there is no freedom. That's why we call it controlled practice or restricted practice. So remember this one: controlled practice, restricted practice, or practice in general. Number 3, production or freer practice. Now you are free to use the language, like role plays, discussions, debates, agree and disagree, discuss, describe. Okay. Let me show you here. Look here. Number 4 is the production, free practice. And number 3 is restricted practice. Complete the sentence about yourself. Look at number 4. Write 3 more similar sentences about your life as a child and share them with your partner. So there is freedom. You are going to use the language. You are going to implement what you have learned. Look at the first lesson. The first lesson. Number 3 is practice, controlled, restricted practice. Complete the dialogue with the correct form. You are restricted. You should use only the right form. There is no freedom. Look at number 4 Imagine you are one of the students in the table. Now, there is freedom. You are going to use the language based on these words. England, Egypt, Scotland, etc. All right, it is clear so far about restricted practice and free practice. So number one, remember, free production or free practice, there is freedom. Students use their own words. For practice or restricted practice, students don't use their own words. They are restricted to choose or to complete or to conjugate, etc. Thank you. Everyone said yes, it's clear. I'm sorry I can't speak louder. I'm very sick today. Okay, thank you. Great, the next slide. Now, the grammar stages. Remember, we said there are 3 major stages, 3, the PPP model: presentation, practice, production. Or in details, there are many stages. For example, we have build interest. Okay. Then we have highlight the form. You underline the simple past. You color the simple past. Then you model. You read, I played, I studied. Then we have concept checking. You make sure that students understood the form or the structure. Then we have highlight the written form. You underline the written form. Then we have restricted practice. You give them fill in the gap, matching exercise, completion task. And at the end, there is freer practice. So there are many stages. It's good to have an idea about these stages. Okay. So we can say that building interest and highlight the form and highlight the written form. This is the spoken form, it's the written form, and the model sentence. We can call all these are presentation stage. Then we have concept checking. It's checking understand another stage. Then we have restricted stage practice. And then the last one is the production or the free practice. Great, next. Now I want you to match the stages with the grammar lesson activities. The grammar lesson activities. Look here. Presentation, observation, concept checking, practice, and production. Can you match them? I give you 1 minute. All right, so what do you think? Any volunteer? So Nabila, can you please activate your mic? Number 1, what do you think? Which stage? Nabila Bitah? No, you can't. So let me move to Muhsin Ayyubi. Activate your mic, please. Muhsin Ayyubi.
Yes, do you hear me?
Yes.
Well, so the first activity, the first question is about presentation, because here the teacher presents the new language using pictures and dialogues. Observations, in this stage, the teacher pushes students to observe the new presented language. concept checking, I think number 2 is concept checking to check whether students have understood the new presented language or not. Practice number 3, exercise number 3, because here he gives some space. He provides some space for learners to practice the new language. The last stage production is represented in the who am I, because here the teacher gives some some room for students to practice this language, this new presented language.
All right, thank you. Now here, there is a problem that the issue is with concept checking. Where is concept checking? So we can say that number 1 is presentation. There is context, contextualization, conversation here. Number 2, look here, I am, you, he, she, it. I am not, I'm not. With colors, we call them color coding. This is observation. We use colors to help students observe. We use tables to help students observe. After they know about the form, the 3rd stage, remember, is concept checking. Concept, you can ask them, what played, is it simple past or simple present? Played yesterday or played today? So you check their understanding. How? By asking them questions. Good. Number 3, it is practice. And number 4 is production. So concept checking you will not find in the textbook. It's your job as a teacher to design nice questions that will help you to see if students understand or not. Is it clear or not? Yes, please. Is it clear so far about concept checking and the other stages? Okay, great. Sarah, you want to say something? Yes, use the mic. I guess some of you want to talk. Anyone? All right, so let's move on to the next. Great. Now, what are the techniques or strategies used to help students learn grammar? Millie said, is concept checking or practice? Concept checking is not practice. Concept checking is after students know about the form or the structure of simple past. But how, as a teacher, you know that students understand the form? How? You ask them some questions. So, played. Muhammad, what do you think about played? Is it action in the past or action in the present? This is a concept question. Yes, James prepared food yesterday or today? Okay, yesterday, great. These are concept questions. Then you move to practice because you have to make sure that students know about the form. Then you move to practice. Now, they may ask you a question. What are the techniques you can use to help students observe the structure or the form or the ruler? And these are one of the best techniques or strategies. Number 1, color coding. I played tennis yesterday. Visual learners, they will observe that there is a ED in red color. And then they ask, oh, the teacher said, I played yesterday. So it's the past. I did not tell my learners that played means the past, but they learned observing that ED stands for simple past. She watched a movie last night. So color coding or highlighting, you can underline, or you can circle to help them. Good. Or number 2, you can use the timelines, the best of the best, to compare and contrast. He played, he plays, he will play, or I will play. So you compare the past with present and future. The timeline is one of the best techniques that will help you and help your learners to understand the form. And number 3 is KISS. And here, KISS stands for keep it short and simple. Blah, blah, blah. No way, will not understand. So give them very short, simple, and concise instructions. Don't explain a lot. The simple past is an action that happened in the past. The simple past is something that we did yesterday and before. The simple past is like played, like studied, like went. When you talk a lot, you confuse your learners. Keep it short and simple. Blah, blah, blah. No. And number 4, error correction. When students make mistakes, don't jump as a teacher and correct. You can start with self-correction, then peer with their friends, and after that, teacher correction. James, can you answer me? Yesterday, what did you do? Yes, teacher, yesterday I watched TV. Yesterday, watch. Yesterday, watch. I'm providing prompts. I'm helping the student. Yesterday is the past. So what's the past of playing? Oh, very good. I played. I watched. So you have to encourage learners to self-correct themselves. How? By giving them clues. If they couldn't, then help. Who can help your friend, your classmate? Yes, Laura, Katharina, Smith, Bob. Jim said yesterday he watched TV. What do you think? Watched TV yesterday. Oh, great, Smith. Watched. ED, thank you. And number 5, use fun activities to motivate, to engage your learners. Games like running to the board. For example, you can divide the class into 2 groups. Okay, and each group has got a representative, and you give them 2 markers, the red marker and the green marker. And then the teacher is gonna say 1 sentence, and they have to run to the board and to write in their space. For example, yesterday I studied English, they run. Yesterday I studied English, and they come back very quickly, and they have to give the marker to the next person. Yes, what did you play yesterday? They run. What did you play? And they come back. After 10 sentences, then you correct. You tell them it's not important to finish early, but the most important is to have correct answers. Is it clear so far? So they may ask you a question if you are applying for recruitment exam. How would you correct your learners' mistakes? You can tell them, I'm gonna start with self-correction, then peer correction, then teacher correction. All right, great. Classroom games. These are some of the games. There are online and offline games. For example, chain story game. The objective is revising, practicing grammar points, spelling and pronunciation. The procedure. Students are set in a circle. You ask your students to set in a circle. And the teacher starts with a sentence. Example, I got up early yesterday. The next student should say, I washed my face. The other student, after that, I ate my breakfast. I went to school, etc. It's like a chain. If someone said, I eat, eliminated. We use the past, I ate. So if someone doesn't know how to conjugate the verb, is eliminated, and at the end there is 1 student who is going to be the winner. Okay, is it clear? And you will see that students love this game. Azwin Najia said, please, do you mind repeating last part about game? Which game? Which game, Najia? So which game, please? Najia said, I repeat the game. Which game? Azwin Najia said, can't hear you. Do you hear me, everyone here again? Do you hear me? So everyone said yes. Do you mean running to the board? So let me explain running to the board. Running to the board means, for example, you finish teaching simple path. Now you divide the class into 2, 3, or 4 groups. And each group, there must be a representative. The representative stands in the middle or in front of the classroom. We can have 4 groups. So leader number 1, leader number 2, leader number 3, and leader number 4. The teacher will tell students about a sentence. And the representative, they should run to the board, and you divide the board into 4 parts. They have to run and to write the sentence correctly. And they have to come back and to give the marker to the next student. For example, I'm gonna say, I watched a movie last night. They have to run and to write, I watched a movie last night. And they have to come back. Okay. Then they have to give the marker to the next student. I didn't go to school last Monday. And they have to run and to write. After 10 sentences, then the teacher will correct if there are mistakes or not. Okay. Okay, group number 1, we don't say I play, we say I played. Group 2, yes, correct, played. 3 played, group 4 played, great. So, and you will see that there is a lot of interaction. The groups are helping the representatives. And here we call it fun games. There is fun, but the purpose is for learning. All right, great. Now, as a review, it's the end. What do we mean by color coding? Can you write in the chat box? We're about to finish. What does this mean, color coding? Can you write in the chat box? Color coding. Yes. Abdullah, this is an observation. So, all right. Color coding is a technique used to mark the language points. Muhsin Ayyubi, great. Sarah, highlighting the concept of the lesson, wonderful. Bisri, we circle the last letter of a verb, wonderful. Latifa Shakir, writing the rule in a different color so that all students know, wonderful. It's about highlighting, coloring, thank you. What about inductive? Inductive approach to teaching grammar. Using examples before the rules. Sarah, thank you. Amina, starting from example and illicit rules. Bisri, example, then the rule. Ilham Zgini, displayed information in different colors. Latifa, inductive means giving examples, then the rule. Miriam, contextualizing the lesson. Thank you. Azwin, create context. Thanks. Examples, then rules. We start with context, contextualization. Thank you. What about learner-centered? Learner-centered. Yes. Miriam Marfouk said, make the learning the center of the lesson. Thank you. Means learn is the leader. Thanks, Ashraf Muhsin. Learners are the center in the learning process. Great. Sarah, focusing on what learners need. Thank you. Fatiha, learner is the leader. Great. Latifa Shakir, the student is active. Amin Al-Kharraz, it's a characteristic of inductive. Thank you. Wow. Great answers. I like it. Grammar stages. What are the major, or give me all the stages. Grammar stage, do you remember? Presentation, practice, production. No, give me other stages. All the stages. PPP is a model. PPP is a model. What are the other stages? Model sentence. Thank you, Sarah. What else? Free practice. Thank you. What else? Presentation, observation, concept, checking, practice, production. Highlight, restrict practice, highlight the written form. Great, Sarah. Highlight the written form. Bushra, role plays. No, sorry. Halima, restricted practice. Great. So highlight the form, highlight the meaning, model, context, restricted practice, free practice, etc. Build interest. Wonderful. Now, what about PPP? What do we mean by PPP? What does it stand for? Asma, Ait Yusuf, presentation, practice, production. Miriam, presentation, practice, production. Great, thank you. What about restricted practice? Restricted practice. Ilham's Guinea, filling gaps is an example. Great. Controlled practice. Thank you, Bizri Muhammad. Another synonym. Controlled practice. Controlled practice. Latifa, Samira. Accept only one correct answer. Latifa. Bushra, multiple choice. Multiple. Yes, restricted practice is when the student has no freedom to practice the language. The student is restricted, is controlled. Giving them exercises such as multiple choice, gap filling, completion tasks, etc. Great. What about communicative activities? Communicative activities. Like role play, Latifa Shakir. Great. Dialogues, Zainab, thank you. Samira, based on dialogues and role plays, perfect. Asma H. Yusuf, okay. Role plays, dialogues. Zainab, great. They are contextualized, engaged, and real life. Great. Wonderful, thank you. Great. What about free practice? Free practice. Free practice. Production, Miriam said. Samira, production, thank you. Debates, Bizri Muhammad is an example. Great. Amin, students produce their own language. Thank you, is a good definition. Halima, production. Muhsin, production. Production speech. Zuhra Al-Annaqa. Great. Debates, role plays, Jadwan. Are free. Anything that comes from students, their own words. Asma, wonderful. Kiss. Keep it short and simple. Maryam Ma'roof or Marfouq, sorry. Yeah, keep it short and simple. Keep it short and simple. Ilham Zgini, Bushra, keep it short and simple. Wonderful, okay. Keep it short and simple. Thank you. Deductive approach. Rule first, Samira, Bizri, keep it simple and short. Now, what about deductive? Samira, thank you. Abdullah, BC, starting from the rule. Great. Zainab, rule and then examples. Jadwan, start from the rule. Introducing the rule, giving the rule, then examples. Latifa. Proud of you. Yes, you are great. I'm sure if you apply for teaching position, you will make it. I'm really proud of you because now you master all the concepts. Very great job. Concept chicken. Concept chicken. Comprehension questions is to check the learned understanding. Thank you, Maryam Marfouqa. When you ask students to elicit information and to make sure that they understand the lesson. to see whether the students understand the rule or not. Thank you, Latifa Shakir. Azwin Shia, check students' understanding before practice. Wonderful. Visual aids. Remember presentation number 2? The teacher used for visual aids. Any visual material such as pictures, posters. Ashraf, wonderful. Visually, images. Great. Sarah, pictures, videos, wonderful. Visually, laptops, yeah, is a material, yeah, great. Videos, pictures, flashcards, posters, Latifa Shakir, great. Abdullah, great, thank you. Wonderful. All right. Now, as a conclusion, remember please, when teaching grammar, there are several questions we need to ask ourselves. Question number 1, how can I help my students know about the use of simple past, the use of simple present, the use of the future? How? Maybe I'm going to use examples, I'm going to use colors, etc. How can I help my learners notice the form? I'm going to use colors, timelines, underline, highlight. What problems might my students face when learning the new language? They may face some problems, like they may not know how to pronounce watch, watches, play, plays, take, takes. So we have s, z, and is. They may find it challenging. So you think about how to solve this issue. And number 4, how can I make the lesson fun, meaningful, and memorable? We want our learners, once coming to our classes, to feel happy. I don't want some or your students say, no, I don't like that kind of teacher. I'm just gonna go so as not to be marked as an absent student. Please, fun, meaningful, and memorable tools or activities you should use. Okay, great. Any questions so far? Lonilla May said, I can't hear you. Please activate your mind. Great. Thank you. This is my email, LhoussineQasserras@yahoo.com. YouTube, you will find all the lessons about teaching English on my YouTube channel, Trainer Lhoussine Qasserras. All right.